Welcome to the Everyday Green Home Podcast. This is Marla, the Green Home Coach, and I am amazed that I am still getting to do this with y'all. So thank you for that. I'm actually recording this in December of 2020, and what a year it has been. I hope when we look back, we can see the silver linings as well as all of the challenges that we have faced this year. So my last podcast for the year, folks. Wow, I can't believe that. Talking today, actually pulling one out of the archives and talking with Tony Pratte, my regular guest co-host. I so love these podcasts with Tony. We just have such a great vibe going between us, and I'm really looking forward to doing more podcasts together for the next year or so. It's been a little challenging with our geographic challenges and time commitments with everything else going on. But this particular episode that I'm bringing out of the archives is all about green labels. And if you've taken any of my webinars or read my book or followed me, you hear me talking about green labels. So this episode really gives you a better rundown on what green labels are and why you care. And I'll tell you what, the biggest reason you care is peace of mind. Yeah, peace of mind. Boy, don't we need that right now. You know, a green label is a third-party independent verification that something is what it says it is. And that gives us tremendous peace of mind that we don't have to do the research. We don't have to go find the ingredients. We don't have to know all that stuff. An independent third party has already done that, has put that label on there certifying as such, and we can then trust that. Now, be sure you are indeed trusting third-party independently verified labels, which once you listen to the podcast, there's a whole list of them in this podcast, and there's also in the show notes some additional podcasts that talk about green labels. So tons of resources for you to follow up with. Just remember, this is a great way to build your house healthier and more comfortable a little bit at a time. Build in the right word, maybe create. But, you know, every time you make a choice in your home, you have the opportunity to do it differently, to choose something that's healthier, to choose something that makes your home more comfortable, to choose something that saves some time or money or convenience. And all of those choices add up so that you eventually get a greener and greener home, i.e. a more healthier, healthier and more comfortable home. But those decisions can be made incrementally. Are you going to see the sweeping benefits you see with a brand new home or remodeled home? Nah, but you're going to see benefit, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel better about what you're doing in your home. So the green label is a great way to start learning more. Think of it as we did food labels, you know? More information about the products you are choosing for your home, your family, yourself. And when you start thinking about this more, we'll wrap up on the podcast too, talking about my curated collection of items for your home and for living in your home that I have personally selected. And I look for green labels first. That is my go-to. However, if I can't find a green label on something, perhaps a small local or regional company, I then take that selection through the process I would use if we were taking it through a green home certification process. And if it's a personal care product or a cleaning product or something that doesn't fall within that home category, we look to different guidelines from groups. We, the royal we, me, myself, and I go to groups like the Environmental Working Group and look at the guidelines that they have laid out. There's some great tools out there. Listen in on the podcast and learn how green labels are your signpost for better choices. Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat, and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Everyday Green Home Podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for you and our world. Welcome back to the Green Gab, the podcast where we talk about green and greener homes, living, and companies. You are joining me, Marla Close, here in Shock City Studios in St. Louis, Missouri, my former home, and today with
Tony Pratte from the Sound Room.
And Tony, wow, we just realized today that we've done like about 100 of these.
Well, you've done around 100. I've done
a lot of them.
A few less, but I've done a lot.
3 years worth of podcasting.
Yeah, I think I'm number 2 on the list of who's appeared on what episode.
Exciting stuff.
I can't believe it. It's just kind of flown by.
Exactly. Well, today we're here to talk about green labels, what they are, what they mean, and how to use them. And you and I run into green labels a lot.
Oh, absolutely we do.
Absolutely. So green labels. So the best way I like to describe them is labels that show third-party certification. That sounds kind of techy, for a product or for an entire assembly or like an entire building even, right?
Well, and I think you're absolutely right. The big thing about a green label is that third party. There's some other entity that is saying, yes, this really is certified. This really is what it says it is.
And why do we care about that?
Because if there wasn't that third party out there, just anybody could do whatever they wanted to and say whatever they want to. They even created a term, greenwashing.
I've heard a new one lately. I actually heard it around recycling, but I think it works with green too, and that's green wishing.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they use it in recycling, so wish cycling. But I thought, wow, that works really well in green. So what do we mean by that? So thinking it's green or hoping that it might be.
Greenwashing, very simple. This term really came about 10 years ago when everybody started coming out with green. It was new and everything had to be green. Well, the whole idea with greenwashing is it's almost like a misdirection.
Well, it's just marketing hype.
Exactly. It's saying that, yes, what I do is good for the environment when in reality, one, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, we don't know, or two, it flat out just isn't. But you're just hoping that customers believe everything you say and just buy it.
So the beautiful thing about third-party certifications, or what we like to call green labels, is that they back up those claims. So somebody else has said, hey, these folks have really done what they said they do. And the terms that they're using are part of that process. So they have actually earned the right to use those terms. So for instance, if something is energy efficient, you don't just have to take their word for it. You actually have a label that backs it up, that has had testing and that whole process to say, yeah, they really are energy efficient, and they're energy efficient by being at least 20% more energy efficient than the standard item that's out there.
Well, and you make a great point. Using energy efficiency for an example, well, it's not just some company that's out there certifying it. It's the government.
In the case of energy efficiency, it is, because Energy Star probably being the green label that most people have heard
Everybody
of.
knows Energy Star.
Energy Star is huge, and we'll get into some more detail on Energy Star further into the podcast. But I think the other thing is this whole concept of greenwashing. We've actually gotten the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, they've actually put out rules and about what you can say and what you can't say without being in trouble.
Well, and they need to.
Right.
Because if they're not regulating what you can say as far as making claims that could be false, well, that's a big deal. I know the Marketing Association, the American Marketing Association, they have specific rules that forbid you as a marketer to even attempt to do that. If you're going to
not aware of that.
Yeah, if you're going to make a claim, one of the classes I'm taking right now, it's all about ethics and legal issues.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've taken many marketing classes in the past where there are a standard code of ethics for marketers. So anybody that throws out greenwashing either is not abiding by those ethical
Correct.
standards or they just don't care.
Well, the other issue is that a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people in the industry, I've seen a lot of folks in the home building industry, they don't understand what the terms mean.
Correct.
They don't understand the value of those terms. And therefore, they don't know how to talk about them. So instead, they will throw them around loosely without understanding the ramifications and the consequences that come behind that. So for instance, we may have a home that has energy-efficient windows in it, and they're Energy Star certified, and then that company or a buyer may assume, oh, it's an energy-efficient home. So that while there may be an energy-efficient feature in it, which is awesome, all for that, that doesn't necessarily give it the right to take that leap to an all-energy-efficient home.
That's a great point, too.
Yeah.
One part does not make the whole.
Correct. It does not. So the other thing is there's terms that aren't regulated or aren't actually controlled by like the FCC, or not controlled, that's not the right word. But there's some words that just have no meaning. And we see it a lot in food and personal care products, and particularly like the word natural.
Right.
Yeah.
That can mean a whole lot of things right there.
Yeah. And, a lot of our products may be synthesized, but they're synthesized from a product, from a material that probably started in nature or was copied from nature. So you get at some really fine nuances here.
Really, how much of a natural product has to exist inside a product to call it natural?
Now, there are very specific rules for what can use organic. And
Well, that's very different because
correct.
natural just connotates existing in nature, right? But organic gives that connotation of it is grown, it is harvested,
Right.
whatever, it's developed in a certain specific way.
So the goals of green labels is to be like the term organic is in the food industries and give people something tangible, something that they can actually know will give them certain parameters around that characteristic
Well, that
for
makes
that
sense.
product, for that material, or even an entire home. Because the green label can really apply even to a
Right.
whole home, remodeled or new. So that's kind of the whole concept of these green labels is how do we use these to better understand what we're buying and getting, and to make sure that we're not getting accidentally taken to the cleaners.
Was it a green cleaners?
Well, I don't know. I have to think about that one. There are some green cleaners out there, but I diverge. Although, bringing dry cleaning into your home,
Oh, yeah.
got a lot of off-gassing. So all this stuff matters.
Well, and
all
there
of it
are,
matters.
We joke about it right now, but there are a lot of these more boutique dry cleaners that have sustainable dry cleaning.
Yep.
They have fuel efficient, or a lot of times either compressed natural gas or electric vehicles.
Yeah. So that's the other thing
They
I'm
did it.
seeing a lot is a lot of companies are doing things that are more sustainably minded, even if their product isn't sustainable. So there may be multiple levels that we can choose about engaging with a company that's doing better. And sometimes that decision may be in the product itself. Sometimes it may be in the operations of the company. Sometimes it's both. But if your values say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm doing something that's better, that's more impactful, that's going to protect my fellow human being, that's going to protect my family and myself, then these green labels give us those guidelines without having to do all the research. It's like
Somebody's already done the research for you.
It's done for you. So you can just go look for the label and you know that it's already out there. And that's that peace of mind that we get from knowing that. And I don't want to make all those decisions, you know?
No, and you don't want to have to do all the research.
Right.
Could you imagine having to pile over all the different research for laundry detergent?
Well, I did that when my daughter got that rash.
Oh, that's right,
Like
you did.
15 years ago, I had to do all the research to find the ingredients to find what was making the allergic reaction happen.
Right. And you remember how long it took you.
Oh, my gosh. It was painful.
Right.
And I had to call people on the phone. I had to have them send me stuff. And then I had to know, I had to make a guess. Were they sending me the right stuff? How could I verify that? And that's way more than we as individuals want to know.
Right. Now,
way more.
You had a specific reason for it because of that allergic reaction on the skin. What about the person that just wants to do something better?
Yeah.
Make that one small step to maybe help the overall environment.
And today, it's pretty easy. So when we come back after break, we're going to lay out how you can do it too. Hey, this is Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I am the author of Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home. And in this book, besides talking about a bunch of stuff about green and sustainability products and practices you can easily take in your home, I also talk about home maintenance and how important this is to having a home that serves you rather than you serving it. Seasonal home maintenance checklists are a big part of this, and I teamed up with colleague Tina Gleisner from Home Tips for Women to use her maintenance checklist, actually included in the book, starting on page 96. And if you have the book, look them up. But I wanted to give you a brief excerpt from the book to get you excited about why home maintenance checklists, I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but why they are so important. So, maintaining a home is actually a 3-part ongoing process: inspect, maintain, and update. To help you keep track of what you've done and plan to do, make notes on the checklist. First, inspect. If you've only got an hour to spare, pick one exterior side of the house or one room inside to inspect. Note the date you did this on the checklist and flag items needing maintenance or repairs so you can schedule time or make a list for your handyman or handywoman. Second, maintain. Keep your home safe, such as smoke detector batteries. Keep your home energy efficient, like furnace air filters, and prolong the useful life of many home features, like caulking bathroom tile. Write it down when you complete a task, keeps you from guessing later on. And third, update. Take advantage of improved materials and fixtures, upgrade to new building codes, and evaluate when it makes more sense to make an improvement rather than repair, such as replacing a bathroom floor rather than repairing the grout. Check out the book or give me a holler and I'll hook you up online to get the maintenance checklist for yourself. If you'd like to have the entire book, please go to livinggreenbook.com for a multitude of ways to purchase it for yourself. Thanks again. This is Marla, the Green Home Coach. Gabbing about green labels today is just a really cool way to help people make better decisions.
Kind of really sticks in the mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does for me. And I put this to use. I'm not only an advocate of this, I'm a big practitioner. And I love nothing more than helping to guide people. That's so many G's in a sentence. I'm so sorry. Guide people to the green labels so they don't have greenwashing and green wishing.
Well, now that we've established you're a practicer of alliteration.
Thank you.
Let's continue.
So I really want to focus on green labels for the home since we talk a lot about the homes. But we're going to wrap up with just a quick reference to where you can also find similar labels for food products and for personal goods. So there's a couple of different ways that we can look at this. Since Green Home Coach is really focused on home stuff, that's really where we're going to spend our time. And you'll find that like a lot of the products that we put out on Everyday Green Home, the green store, the green shop, have these green labels on them. And if a product's out there that doesn't have a green label, I've gone through the process, the same vetting process that we use in the National Green Building Standard to ensure that those products meet the requirements of what we would use in a green home certification.
Well, and that's a good point because there's a lot of companies that might not have put their products through the certification process, yet
but they would qualify
they totally
very
easily.
Still work. And a lot of folks are like, well, why don't all these products go through the certification process? And it's really the same reason that not everyone goes through the organic process. So especially a lot of small family farms, et cetera, may not go through the organic process simply because it's costly and is time consuming. And the same happens with any of these green labels. But personally, I think it's so worth the effort because it's like this instant marketing flag. Hey, I'm green and I can prove it. And I'm going to use the term green and sustainable somewhat interchangeably because right now they're representing the same thing. Because these labels wrap around all the different characteristics that we find in a home. So energy efficiency, water efficiency, easy for me to say, resource efficiency, toxin-free or lower toxins. So all of these get played into in the different labels.
Right. Recycled materials, you name it.
Right. So if you think through the categories that you would evaluate a home for like a green home certification, you'll find that there's green labels in those same categories.
That makes sense.
Right. I went through a really interesting process a few years ago where a potential client had asked me to help align sustainable practices with every part of a green development for a resort.
Oh, wow.
And that was a real eye-opening exercise because I really haven't worked a ton in commercial. But I found sustainable guidelines and almost always a sustainable process and a certification for just about every aspect of that resort.
Well, that makes sense because of LEED.
Yeah, including marinas, golf courses, the homes, the neighborhoods.
Everything from design through planning, construction, zoning, you name it, all the way to people moving in.
And this particular group wanted that because they wanted to distinguish this resort as someplace different.
No, it makes sense.
And someplace that had elevated itself and distinguished itself by pulling all the values in that were important to them and to their clientele and their homeowners and their visitors. And that's what it is for me. This is my value. My value is I want to do more. I want to do the very best I can for my family, my friends, whomever's in my home, and more importantly, well, not more importantly, but as important, for you all of you that are out there listening to this, if we can't help you do it better, then I'm failing you. So give us feedback. Tell us if this is helping, and tell us about your experiences looking for these green labels and how you're using them in your own homes. You can go to Green Home Coach. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're Green Home Coach on both of those. And give us your feedback. Give us your stories about how this is working for you. Because I'm really I'm talking to so many more people that are like, oh, I saw that label and now I know what it means. So I want to know that that's helping.
Well, you know, the nice thing, too, is because we always talk about it, whether it's on the podcast or you and I just in general, of being able to do, you know, maybe you just aren't a big picture person, but you could take small little steps incrementally.
Absolutely.
What better use of labels than to maybe start those small incremental steps?
Yeah. So let's talk about a few of them.
Okay.
So the one I think everybody knows, because energy efficiency has probably been around longer than any other component of green homes and greener living.
They do a good job of marketing it,
too. Energy Star covers thousands of products as well as complete home certifications, which I don't know if a lot of people know. So everything from electronics to windows to insulation to roofing.
Appliances,
computers, televisions, stereo equipment. Ooh, do we still use that word?
Hot water heaters.
Furnaces. And air conditioners.
You name it. If it uses energy, basically. If it plugs in or plugs into electric or natural gas, chances are it's certified.
And they've got really awesome lists of products that are certified on the Energy Star website, energystar.gov. We're going to list all these links in the show notes, too, so you don't have to write them all down. We'll have them there. But Energy Star, so many products that you can use in your home. And this is such an easy one. If you just look for the Energy Star label when you are shopping, you are assured you're getting a product that is at least 20% more energy efficient than its standard non-certified component or partner.
Right. And it's not just any old third-party company. It's the government.
Right.
Department of Energy?
Actually, it was started by the EPA. And then Department of Energy plays in there as well.
Right. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Environment Protection Agency, which now they've brought out WaterSense, which is really kind of like Energy Star is for energy, WaterSense is for water. Water's kind of a tougher one, though, because, number one, water is so easy to do better in our homes and in our buildings.
It's the easiest one.
It is the easiest one. And every time we're doing a green home certification, my simple my simple request to the people I'm working with is just choose all WaterSense plumbing fixtures and toilets in your home or building, and you're done. And that is enough. And there's a lot more we can do, like with irrigation and plumbing design and things of that nature. But the easy answer, choose WaterSense.
That is the ultimate in the small little incremental steps.
Correct. Now, what manufacturers make WaterSense labeled products?
Oh, gosh. Kohler, Delta,
all of them. All the big ones. Right. And a lot of them are moving towards more and more of their products just being WaterSense and or low flow. It just makes more sense.
Well, not only that, but part of it is California with their own standards. A lot of these manufacturers are finding out, you know what, it's just easier to build one product line versus two.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Who wants to tool up that many lines? So Energy Star and WaterSense, if you just do those two labels on the majority of your purchases for your home, whether you're upgrading, replacing.
New home, existing home, remodel.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You can be a DIYer. You can have somebody doing it for you. These apply across the board.
Everybody likes to change the shower heads eventually.
Yeah,
Everybody likes to upgrade the faucets. Hey, need a new washer dryer. Need a new dishwasher.
Yep. Cool thing, too, for energy or water appliances, like washing machines and dishwashers. If they're Energy Star, they're automatically water saving. Not necessarily WaterSense certified, but they are water saving.
Nice.
So you get a twofer.
Well, I know when I got my new hot water heater, that was both Energy Star and WaterSense.
Yeah. So there's some cool ones that these. So many people think that these are going to be a lot more expensive, and they usually are not. But you also get an extra quality bump because you know somebody's taking the time to go through the process of certifying them. And anytime I can get more quality, I'm all in.
My time's worth money. How's
yours? Absolutely. Quality and durability. So I am all in with that. So I see a big correlation between the manufacturers and the companies that take the time to certify, oftentimes also have these other characteristics, such as the durability and the quality kind of baked in.
Well,
that's my
opinion.
personal opinion.
Yeah,
that's just my personal opinion. So one other big one I want to talk about before we take a quick break is GreenGuard.
Air quality.
This is one a lot of folks have not heard of. And I will tell you that my very favorite floor cleaner that I have used for years, which is Bona, and I picked up the bottle a few years ago and turned it over, and lo and behold, the GreenGuard symbol was there. I was like, oh my gosh, sweet. So
you probably had no idea, did you?
I didn't. So once I paid attention, so why does GreenGuard matter? This says that the product has less toxins in it, and it meets the California rules for
air quality, off-gassing.
Correct. So this is the less toxins piece, and the GreenGuard certification applies, again, to a lot of products.
Oh, yeah, and it's just not cleaning products. It gets into flooring. It gets into cabinetry. It gets into laminate countertops.
Anything that's made of pressed board, paints, adhesives. Think of all the things that are liquidy and become solid that are used in your home. Well, when they become solid, they're off-gassing.
That's right.
So this, applying GreenGuard philosophies to those products means that you don't have all those toxins inside your home, and you can breathe easier. And I don't know about you, but I like to breathe.
I think we all like to breathe.
Okay, well, on that note, let's take a breather. 5 myths of green homes are 5 things that you probably believe about green homes that may be costing you thousands of dollars. Which myth do you hear the most? Get your copy of 5 Myths at greenhomecoach.com and click on the button for 5 Myths of Green Homes. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Green Home Coach and let me know the green home myth you hear the most. I'll also share tips, products, and resources. Be sure to download your copy of 5 Myths of Green Homes now, and then check back to learn more. So we were talking about GreenGuard and indoor air quality, and that one is huge. I think a lot of folks are really starting to pay more attention to the materials and products and even furnishings that we bring into our homes. There's been a lot of publicity around formaldehyde, a known carcinogen. There's been a lot of publicity around the off-gassing that these products do. And so I think we're paying more attention.
Well, we have to now, especially in new construction. These houses are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So they're getting so tight, we have to bring air in from the outside. So if the house is going to be that tight to where we need to recirculate fresh air into it, we better be extremely careful of what's inside that house, because
we're locking you in with it.
That's going to be in there with us for the entirety of the house.
So let me just capture that with, I get a lot of people that say, well, then why are we building houses so tight? So let's just address that elephant in the room real quick. So you want it tight because you are paying to heat and cool and condition all the air inside your home.
Right.
And if your house isn't tight, where's it going?
It's going outside.
So you're just throwing dollars outside of the house.
Basically, the tightness of the house is being regulated through the energy codes of the house.
Well, and more, because there's a lot of voluntaries that are way above codes.
True. But even the regular codes are getting very strict when it comes to energy.
In certain parts of the country. We have a lot of parts of the country that are still operating with older building codes, so they're not there. But I have people that literally... I had a gentleman tell me once, well, I like me a good leaky house so that it's getting fresh air. And I'm like, yeah, but that fresh air is coming through the walls, the dirt, the insulation, which, by the way, insulation is a great filter, or can be. So you want it controlled air so that you know that you're getting good air inside the house. And that's where the air tightness and the ventilation really come hand in hand.
And a client like that, I would recommend, you know what, buy a 70-year-old house.
Yeah, no joke. This is not for you. So there's additional certifications that apply specifically to carpets and to rugs, like the CRI Institute. I'm going to get that Carpet Rug Institute label, Green Label Plus. I'll get it out here in a minute. There's the Environmental Protection Agency has an indoor air quality one called Indoor Air Plus. I'm trying to do these from memory,
Indoor Air
folks.
Plus.
So that one oftentimes we'll see in conjunction with an Energy Star certified home and a WaterSense certified home.
Those three would go together because they're already being, EPA is doing one, might as well do all three.
The other interesting thing I think a lot of folks are starting to recognize more and more is if you do more on the energy efficiency side with a little bit more thought, it can also be better for the indoor air quality side.
Yeah, you always start with energy efficiency, it seems, and then from there, the people that will start with indoor air quality usually have some kind of an airborne allergy or
asthma,
something like that. That
huge rise in asthma
causes them to think air quality first.
Right.
Once you've started with the energy of the house, going that next step for indoor air quality usually is an attachment to the HVAC. So you're already 80% there. That extra 20% isn't that big of a deal. So because there's so many of these to look for, I'm going to include in the show notes a download that will help you. Just a quick reference for the green labels, so you don't have to remember them all. That'd be a lot to remember. Yeah, so you can use this download. Just download it in the show notes, and this will give you the prominent green labels, where to find more information on them, and where to find the products that have them. So that way you don't have to do all the research, because we've already done it for you. There is one more green label that pertains to houses or the products that are used in houses, as well as general products that's kind of new. I say kind of new. It's probably been around 10, 12 years. But this is Cradle to Cradle. And this one's really different from a lot of the others because you may have heard the term circular economy, circular thinking, so that the input or the outputs from one part of the process become the inputs for the next part of the process. And if you look at nature, this is how nature works, right? That's exactly how nature works.
Right. So every output that we have is an input for another part, or maybe on the food chain, it becomes food for another animal or creature out there.
Well, to be honest, this is how project management works.
Right.
The output from one process is always the input from the next.
So true. I hadn't thought of it that way. So Cradle to Cradle embodies that thinking for manufactured products. They also have it for the processes. It gets into a lot more detail, and we're just starting to see some products come out there. So this one's kind of a stay tuned as more things come out with Cradle to Cradle, but it actually is all based on a book by the same name, Cradle to Cradle, that came out, 10-ish years ago.
I like to think of Cradle to Cradle as really an efficiency play.
There you go.
It's an efficient way of using resources.
That's a good way to put it. So this is another one. There are many other green labels out there. You'll see them for wood. You'll see them if they have recycled content. And I urge you to just pay attention. Read the labels. And if it has a skull and crossbone on the back, hopefully you'll run.
It's bad.
That's not a green label. So you want to go the other way. But I also mentioned earlier that we would talk a little bit about how these labels apply in other parts of our life. So a lot of folks, well, number one, let's do two things. In our other parts of our life and also for homes, because an entire home can be certified.
Oh, yes.
So if you've listened to the show much, you've heard some of these before. The U.S. Green Building Council has LEED, L-E-E-D, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. We see it a lot in commercial buildings, but it is also available for homes. We have the National Green Building Standard.
They're the NAHB.
Correct.
National Association of Home Builders.
It is endorsed by them. It is actually an International Code Committee.
Well, it's a
700. It's an ICC 700 code.
Yeah, it's a giant partnership, I believe.
Or not, it isn't a code, but it is endorsed by the code committees.
It was NAHB, while they're the ones that champion it.
Correct.
USGBC had a say in it. Department of Energy had a say in it. The U.S. Navy had a say in it.
It is a consensus-based standard.
Yes.
There are a lot of regional and local green building standards as well, such Greenbelt, Texas, Greenbelt, Washington, Earthcraft homes out in the Southeast. And then, of course, we have energy efficient only certifications, such as Energy Star for homes, Energy Star for new homes. And we're starting to see a lot more of the HERS rating, the Home Energy Rating Score Index. That's like a scale or a number that assesses the energy efficiency of a home and then relates it to a standard code-built home or an existing home that's on the market. So you're going to start seeing a lot more of these words. We're going to give you links in the show notes so you can learn more about them. But just know that they're out there and that these green labels are all there to make your life easier. And a green certified home is going to have a bunch of green labels inside it too, right?
Yes, it will. A lot of times they'll give you some kind of a educational package with the house.
Yeah.
And that'll explain all the benefits and the values of the house, along with a lot of the information on the products that make up the house.
Yeah. So two other categories that come into playing is food. So, of course, we talked about organic. A new one I've seen there is like the Rainforest Alliance certified.
Right. That's starting to come into play,
Coffee,
too.
nuts, things of that nature, where people are being more sustainably minded and using more of the indigenous practices.
Well, and it's not just the how they grow the coffee. It's the workforce behind it as well.
Right. So it's and there's a lot of work being done that sustainability is not just about the products. It is about the society and the people and how they're treated and wages. I mean, it gets
wages.
We could get into hours and hours on this conversation, especially you and me, Tony.
That's an economic conversation,
right? There. And there's actually another podcast that we're going to record talking about a lot of this, really based on what they call a living standard. And so there you go, quick peek at another one coming. But this is becoming a much larger conversation. And green labels are one place to kind of follow the conversation and follow the dots, if you will.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting because when we talk green sustainability, things like that, we touch an awful lot of industries.
Oh, my gosh, yes. So there's the last one I want to mention is a lot of personal care products are also being paid much closer attention to, especially because we use so many products a little bit every day. So your deodorant, your skincare, your shampoo, your soap. And there's a site called the Environmental Working Group, which assesses a lot of these products. So that is a resource for you as well if you want to see how something you're using stacks up and what alternatives there might be out there. So there's more and more of these tools coming, and well, they're here, but they're out there for us as consumers and as people that are making these decisions to hopefully have the best information and to make the best decisions we can.
Well, I think over the last 10 years, we've really seen product lines flip over. You know, it used to be, green products, that's a niche. But now it's no longer a niche. It's the mainstream.
Yeah, it is. And there's so much more we could talk about, but we're going to save it for another podcast.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great green day. And that's a wrap. That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Ready to use what you learned? Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and for leaving a review. And remember that living a little better and greener is easier than you think.